Dun dun dun! Episode 6, The Honeymoon. So they come back from the vineyard, and Justin's parents sit down with him and say, hey, we know about the tape about Keisha. And he's like, I already know. Now, I don't know why they didn't think he knew already. Duh, he's in high school. Duh. Not to say that he knew when him and Keisha first started talking, but why wouldn't he? Why would y'all know before him? So they basically tell him, trying to get him to break up with her. He lets them know, I love her and I'm not breaking up with her. So y'all can just stop it. And that he is the support that she needs. And they're like, we didn't expect it to go this way. The dad's like, it was your mom's fault. I swear, I love Wood Harris in this. Yes, I found out his name. I love him in this. He's a great dad. But anyway, so then Dawn starts to feel bad for her. And she started asking Justin all these questions and like, dang, I didn't realize. And she eventually finds out that Keisha's mom does not know. So then she tells Justin, sometimes you gotta do the hard thing, and it's not what she want to hear. This is love, and she need a village because ain't nobody been around her. And if her parents don't know, then this is terrible. Because how can anybody protect her? So she tells Justin, if Keisha don't tell her by Monday, I'm gonna tell her mom. So he told Keisha what happened. And my thoughts was, I think the mom gave great advice, but a little bit of me, it was like, if I was a teenager, it was like, I don't like this. Why are you meddling in the teenage business this far? But I get it from a parental standpoint. Yes, Keisha's mom definitely should have known. She would have been more protecting of her. And yeah. So Keisha is so mad when she gets the news. Anyway, she ended up telling her mom right before her mom went to work, and her mom is like devastated, like, what? How could you be so stupid? I'm paying for this expensive school and yada yada yada. And her mom had every right to go in. She's just like, what the heck? So then Justin goes over there because the dad's like, he's like, I gotta go over there and check up on her and be there for her. And the dad's like, let him go. And Dawn's like, but no. And he's like, no, you want him to be a man? We gonna tell him. And I ain't gonna lie, it was late at night. I was like, it's beautiful. They sitting on top of the thing, looking at the sky, in the whole cityscape or whatever. Anyway, when he dropped Keisha off, I swear my heart dropped. Because the daddy had told him all the things to do in case, he got pulled over. And it's in LA. But it don't matter. Riding black, being a man, is scary at night. But anyway, my heart just, whew. And it was like midnight too. And the police creep behind them for a little bit, and then they end up going around. But baby, I thought this love story was going to turn into a nightmare. That's just so sad that as a person of color, we think like, dang, we see the police on screen because they show it so much and we know it to be true. That's like, this story's going too well in a way of just in our own business. We always figuring somebody might be in the business other than us, so we just like, here we go again with the, but thank God that didn't happen. I'm so happy, especially with him just not getting his Jeep. That would have been so traumatizing, and it's so scary. So Keisha's mom come home and she's like trying to find somebody to blame for what happened to her daughter. And her daughter Keisha saying like, it's my fault too, mom. I shouldn't have never did it. I shouldn't have never recorded it. I shouldn't have never let him record it, and I shouldn't have never sent it. And her mom's just like, but no, we can press charges. And Keisha's like, no, I just want to go to college. Like, I want to put this behind me. And I agree with Keisha. Like, I wouldn't want to be known as the girl in in Brookwood that had a tape and went all through this court thing, and it just ain't going in her favor. But her mom is just like trying to find somebody to blame because she just cannot believe that she allowed her and like was like all about Christians. She's just like, what was, but she had no idea. So then Keisha's like, I'm going to go move with my cousin. I'm not about to be dealing with this, mom. Like, you tripping. Because her mom's like, she's like, what if I don't want to do it? Her mom's like, I don't care. You're doing it. So I'm just like, I feel like as a mom, of course we want somebody to blame. Of course, I think she felt every bit of shame and embarrassment. But it was like, you got to think about your daughter. So I agree with Keisha. I probably would have been like, I'm moving out too. Like, you're stressing me out, ma'am. This is my senior year, first day. And I'm not saying that I didn't stress you out as a parent, but it's just like, I'm living it, mom. So it's like and then she explains to her mom, like, I didn't tell you because, you had so much going on. And I feel so bad for Keisha, and it's like, I am glad that Dawn thought about it and was like, what if it was my daughter? What if it was me? I'm glad that aspect. And later on, Dawn calls Keisha's mom and she talks to her and sends her a therapist and stuff like that and let her know, like, it's hard, parenting these teenagers, and here's a therapist so you can have somebody to talk to. And I'm glad that Dawn was Keisha's mom's support and the parents was each other's support in this series as far as when it came to Justin and Keisha and just loving on them. I love that. And I think it's because they have the history of them going to school in elementary school. So for Dawn to call and check on her, like, how does it feel? Like, how are you feeling? How are y'all doing? But Dawn did get on my dang on nerves because she's trying to force this Northwestern school on Justin so bad. And he just ran into somebody who was doing music where Keisha was getting her hair done. So I'm just like, he's like, I don't want to do that. And his mom, and I get where his mom is coming from. She just want him to have a plan and a future and a successful future, especially as a black man. But it's just like, he don't have to go in a traditional way. But I think that's the only way she know how, but it was getting on my nerve. But she was getting on my dang on nerves because the more and more she was just pushing it on him, I think this is why later, as we continue to watch, you'll just see how Justin, unfolds throughout this. It's just the expectation. I feel like it's too high. I feel like as parents, sometimes we put a high expectation, not knowing. And I don't want to say we raising out of fear, but it still is giving too much for these young teenagers. We don't think about the trauma that they go through or that they see on a daily. And I think Dawn is not seeing that. All she see is you letting this little girl get in your head and you ain't thinking about your future. But it's like, he doesn't know who he is. No one knows who they are when they're like senior year. And she just want him to do an early admission. And it's just like, or early application. It's just like, I don't even know if I want to go to school. But he can't even say that because she has such a plan. I think it's because he is ADHD and they've always had a plan because he has an IEP. And it has been working, but I think now that he's in high school, it's starting to fade. And I can relate because my son also has an IEP, but his is pretty much faded into none, but it's due to him being ADHD as well and needing certain help and support, but he doesn't really need it anymore. He's thriving very well. But I think that when you start the journey with the kid who may have some just a different way of learning, you always try to make a plan because that's what been working. And she don't know no different from that. She just don't. But she was getting on my nerves because it's like, let him choose, let him find his own path. They wealthy. They got enough money for him to, even if he wanted to have a gap year. I'm not saying he need to have a gap year, but just take him to some workshops so he can really see, make him do some surveys so he can see what he want to be and what he want to do. He's not like Keisha who has it already mapped out. Keisha knows exactly where she want to go and what school she want to go to. Justin's not like that. And that's what makes them two very different and why they lean on each other for support. Keisha leans on him for support in the family way, and he leans on Keisha for support in school and academic. Well, anyway, Keisha mom's come over. She come over and she realizes, like, I don't want to put you through no trauma. I just was just trying to be there, and I just was trying to find somebody to blame, and I had a therapist, and Keisha's like, great, and they just basically make up. She like, I need you to come on. Like, we don't have to go through all that, but her initial reaction was her natural reaction, which was to protect, and I can understand that. So ain't nothing wrong with that, It's okay, Keisha mom. It's okay. I need to remember her name for the future episodes. But either way, so they make up, and that's pretty much the episode. And I just gave y'all all my thoughts. So I'll see y'all tomorrow on episode 7. And I'll let you know what I think from there. But I think this was a great episode. Dawn got on my nerves. Keisha is finally free. Justin is feeling not so free when it comes to academics. And yeah, it was a great episode. And he got a car. So they about to be acting a fool with it. Acting a fool with it. But anyway, I'll see y'all next one. Peace and hair grease. Bye.